Hey everybody, thanks for clicking. I really appreciate that. So today we're going to work on our Pto Driveshaft for our stump grinder, because though we did install it according to the directions, I believe it is just a little bit too long, and when the stump grinder finishes its rotation over the stump, it kind of falls a little bit. So I think the shaft being too short, when that grinder hits, it's pushing on the shaft, which is pushing on the rear of the transmission. So that we do not want to happen. So we're going to pull the shaft off, and I think we're going to take about 2 inches off the shaft and then reinstall it and see how much room we have for that grinder to make sure that it doesn't bottom out and we don't have any potential problems. So let's get started and check it out. Okay, so here's the setup. We have it on there, and I will put in the end screen the link to the video of us actually using the grinder, and you can see the grinder swings this way and then this way. It actually pivots back and forth, and when it is in certain positions, the shaft right now has plenty of room, but when it comes all the way in, especially when the PTO or the 3-point hitch is in the up position, higher up, these do touch. So we want to do that. So we're going to pull this shaft off. We're going to cut it a little shorter, and we will make sure it's good. Okay, and the other side of this, there's a nut and a bolt on the grinder side. It doesn't have a push pin, so you gotta take the bolt out. And I marked, I don't know if you can see it, I marked with a chalk pen, paint pen, which side the nut goes on, because the bolt or pin only goes through one way on this shaft. So if you're doing a job like this, make a little mark so you know which way it goes through. All right. And there you go. Like I said, this has a nut and bolt pin that goes through. I don't know, maybe this is common. I'm kind of new to this thing. So anyway, the pin only goes through one way. It doesn't go through the other way. So that's why I made a mark with the paint pen. Okay, so we got that off. And I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna take 1 inch off on each side. So that should be 2 inches total, I believe. And we're gonna also have to cut the cover back and the cover back. So we'll start with that. That should be the easier part, and we'll give it a go. All right, so this is what I'm choosing to use to cut shaft. I actually do have a metal chop saw, but I think we're gonna do this because we got a metal blade. Let's give it a go and see how it cuts. So for the sake of convenience, we took the cover off so I could put it directly into the vise so it doesn't move, because I was getting a little chatter on there and that was kind of annoying. So take the 3 screws off and take the cover off. Okay, so just kind of go easy. Wasn't that hard to cut. Like I said, this isn't really precision metalworking right here. We just want to make sure it's cut. Now we're going to clean up the edge and get all the little burrs off, because clearly we don't want there to be any problem when we put the shoe shafts back together. So let's get that cleaned up. as you can see, this is what we do on rainy days here. It's raining serious. Not a good day to mow lawns. Okay, so we've cut the shaft and the covers on both sides. Now we're going to put this, and for the sake of ease, take the plastic cover off before you try to cut it. It's just a lot easier and you get a better cut. So let's slide it back together. Make sure you put it, you know, it only goes one way, but there's a flat spot on there. So let's put it back together. And let's get it back on the machine, and then we'll go through the positions all the way down, all the way up. And the mistake that I made in the beginning was this is if you install one of these, but they tell you to measure the shaft from the tractor PTO to the center in this direction, so it's straight as possible. Obviously you want your drive shaft to be straight as possible, but there are times when you lift up the 3-point hitch as high as it can go, maybe to get over the stump, and at that point it gets a lot closer to the tractor. Even with the hydraulic top length, it's still kind of close. So that's where we were bottoming out on the thing. So we're gonna reinstall the shaft now. And like I said, we'll go through the measurement and we'll see to make sure that we're not gonna bottom out. And of course, before we reinstall, we hit up all our grease points. This is actually for the cover. And there's a couple of fittings in there, and then there's one in there. So we hit all those up to make sure that they're greased. We grease the shaft and the shaft, and this one also has, I'm using the camera to see this, there's a fitting down here for grease point, and then you have 2 grease points on there, just in case.
And for anyone who might be wondering, I do have a jack stand on the other side, and I also have the hydraulic jack underneath the back of the grinder, so I'm not actually climbing in there with just the grinder suspended by the lift arm, in case you were wondering.
guys, so there you have it. Shortening up that shaft helped, and I put the markers there so you can see. And the only position that it even comes close to is if you have the 3-point hitch in the full upright position, like way up here, which you really shouldn't be running your drive shaft down here, would be on a really crazy angle. So you don't want to do that. Obviously you want to keep the drive shaft as straight as possible. I think it's like 17% or something. They're like not to go past that. So shortening this one up helped. They do make extension brackets also that come with the kit that you can add. That's why they have the 2 holes here, which will put the grinder farther back on the tractor, which would also solve the problem of the drive shaft being too short, because you don't want to cut it too short and then not have it long enough in the far long position. So I think I got it right. So if anybody installs one of these, that's what we went through, and that is how you shorten the drive shaft for pretty much any PTO implement that uses a drive shaft. All right. So hey guys, thanks again for watching. Really appreciate it, and you know what to do. Hit that like and subscribe button if you like this kind of stuff or anything lawn related, tractor related. Anyway, peace everybody. Have a great day. Thank you.